Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Greet your neighbor. Our invocation today will be given by Louise Keith.
Thank you. I have a statement that I thought was relevant for today. You give little of yourself when you give of your possessions. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give. And today, as we gather together with our Creator to celebrate the change in leadership of our organization, we can give thanks for those who step up to the plate, and everyone in the room does. For President Terry in the past year, and in anticipation to pursue the objectives that we all share. May we continue to be blessed with a sense of unity and purpose in which, despite our differences, we can all work together for a better community and world. Amen.
Thank you, Louise. Oh, Greg, I'm not sure if Henry's concerned about you becoming president or. No, I think you can tell that your grandchild loves his plow. He wants to be right up there with you. Well, welcome, everybody. Couple of quick announcements. Over the weekend, I went to the district conference, which was held this year over in Canton at Walsh University campus. A little quick story on that, quick story about the conference. So on Friday, I was in the doctor's office. They were drawing some blood for a blood test, and as they usually do when they draw blood, they try to make small talk to take your mind off the fact that they're drawing blood out of your day. So the young lady asked me, do you have any plans for this weekend? I said, yeah, I'm going to the Rotary District Conference. And she's like, you don't look old enough for that. So I think that just goes to show what the perception is about the age of our club. But it's not really reality. As you look around, we have a nice mix in our club. So over at the district conference, a couple of things I just wanted to draw your attention. One is we had our outbound students there, and you can see Brent there in the back. Brent and Kathy McConnell were both there to help with our outbound students. So this is a picture with Hayden Michelle. We're sponsoring him from our club, and he's outbound to Japan. So they received their jackets, and it was a nice little ceremony. And one thing that struck us is that a lot of the students, they would say that they're legacy students, so that one of their brothers or sisters had been through youth exchange. So I think that says a lot about the program. So it was really great to have them there. One of the other things that came up is one of the Rotarians did a presentation on books for Vietnam. This is something that we donated to last year. And she had some pictures of what they were able to do with the funds that were generated by the district. So that was kind of nice to get a little bit of an update on that. My last today in history. This is a fictional history. So today, June 27th, Dobby was born. So for those of you who are Harry Potter fans, you might know who Dobby is. There's some debate about how old he really is. And actually on his birthday too, when I did a little research, said the 27th, one said the 28th. But Dobby had a pretty tough life. He was an enslaved house elf for most of his life. But he was eventually freed. So a little bit of trivia here. He was freed because Harry Potter gave him something. Does anybody know what that was? A sock. That's right. I figured something here you know that. So that's today in history. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Secretary Lynn, Secretary.
Thank you, President Terry. It's certainly been a pleasure to work with you. Look forward to having Greg as well. Great transition. We start the traveling microphone with Dr. Keeper.
I guess Dan Hacker, he's military from the first part I started.
Welcome. And next is Judy Worthamwood. And before she introduces her guest, Judy, you can still stand. Today is the last official Rotary meeting for Judy. She's been a member for several years, and she was our Arts Jazz co-chair for many years. And I just found out how she got to be Arts Jazz co-chair. As she became a Rotarian and she was sitting around talking like all of us do, she mentioned that she and her husband Tom like Arts Jazz. So don't ever mention that you like anything about Judy, we really appreciated all your service and we wish you and Tom well.
Thank you very much. And then you're right, I can still perfect this.
Yes.
So, and my replacement, who will be submitting her application for Rotary is Brendan Cronin, the new mental health and recovery board executive director. I leave on Thursday. She will be on Friday.
Greg and Terry both have introductions from the podium, and following that, Brent Rice has an announcement.
My guest today is my wife, Maria.
First of all, I want to apologize. It's my fault. I'm the guy that got him the shirt and got him here. He was here 3 years ago for Matt's induction, and he was a perfect little child. I guess I've been a bad influence. It would have been very difficult to have him sit on my lap up here. So you have to excuse it. I really thought we could pull it off. Matt said we couldn't. So he was right. I have two guests today. They stand. And, these two have been very important to Wooster Rotary Club over the years. First, I have Bonnie Lake. She's my assistant forever. She now works at Even More, but she is the #1 gopher for everything Rotary if it doesn't involve the actual bookkeeping and counting. And the other is Lynn Carr, who has been the person behind the scenes that makes all the stuff happen, that make me look good as treasurer. And she took over for Kathy Cook decades ago and started doing this. Really has done an outstanding job. These are two behind the scenes people that most Rotarians have never seen, but make the wheels run and make sure the thing's done on time. So they are very, very important people to me. So.
Jerry, I'm not sure if you're mentioning Dobby is soliciting for someone to bring you Woodstock and for you to gain your freedom today. It was appropriate for thanks for your service, and I want to thank you too for your support of Youth Exchange and for bringing everyone to the attention of Peggy Michelle this past weekend. You know, Greg has been terrifically supportive of Youth Exchange, as has the board and members for many, many years. So thank you all, and really give yourselves a pat on the back for what you've done to support Youth Exchange. We are so excited with Youth Exchange to have it back after 2 years. Rotary International shut the program down, suspended it for 2 years while global travel was affected. But as things are returning to some normality, this is another normal that we're coming back to. And we look forward here in Worcester to hosting 2 students this beginning in August. And we're thankful to the Worcester City School District for welcoming these students to Worcester High School for the coming academic year. I wanted to mention that at the end of today's meeting, the Club Youth Exchange Committee will be having a committee meeting. We've got a few important things to address, but one of the top things is that we need host families for this coming year. And that's something that any of you could help us out, whether you're interested yourselves in hosting the students, or you have family, friends, or neighbors who might be a good connection for us. Feel free to approach me with any contacts that we may meet with people, answer any questions, and get them involved in the community as well. You don't have to be a Rotarian to host a student. And with that, I'll also mention that, your kids, your grandkids, or neighbors, high school age students that might have an interest in youth exchange. We want to promote students like Hayden Michelle, sponsor them from our Worcester Club, and send them abroad for a year. So share with others that Worcester Youth Exchange, Rotary Youth Exchange is back, and we're looking to grow and be just as good as we have for many, many decades. Thank you all.
Thank you, Brent. If you're interested in joining that committee, I would definitely encourage you to meet with the group after, or if you can't, just let Brent know that you're interested. If you're a newer member and looking for a way to engage, that's a great way to be of service to the club. So before I call Bob up for the official induction, I just wanted to take a few minutes to just kind of go through a little recap of the year. I have to first start out with some thank yous. These Monday meetings really can't happen without Secretary Lynn, Cheryl Boyer, and Becky Furlong, who really help with all the technology, and Lynn helps me so much. I really appreciate all your assistance this year, Lynn. Also, Beth Weaver organizing invocation, Shannon Waller, the greeters, and Steve, you're a fixture back there at the table when everybody walks in. So I appreciate you being there this year. And of course, our cooks. The one meeting that we had to cancel due to snow, I got a note from Sarah the night before, said, we're going to cancel tomorrow. I'm like, well, they say it's going to be done by morning, not realizing that they get here at like 7 in the morning or something. So they really do a lot for us. We appreciate them. Thanks to everybody on the board of directors. It was a great board to work with this year, and I appreciate all the engagement from these folks. And of course, the other club's leaders. So Greg, as treasurer, has been a great assistance to me this year. Justin is past president, and Courtney is president. So thank all of you for everything that you've done. And really to all of our members. There were a lot of new committee chairs this year, which is not easy to do, particularly on some of our committees. We had Steve Glick, Becky Foster, and Joe Seeker fill in for Al Van Lee. That was kind of new. Scholarship committee, we have Reinhardt and James. The flags, we have Vicky and Joy. Those are pretty big committees to step into leadership roles, and it's good to have change in those leadership roles as well. So I appreciate everything they do. And folks that do stuff, behind the scenes that we don't even think about, like Greg was talking about with Lynn and Bonnie here. We have Susan Bookwalker, who works with Crippled Children Committee. That's really more effort than you might think, and something that she kind of does behind the scenes. Robbie Ross and Josie Weaver Krantz, who work on first-year members. So and Greg Barbu for the website. So things like that you don't really see, the people who are helping. And it really, from standing up here and being in the president's role, you really get to see, what it really takes to kind of pull this off. My priorities at the beginning of the year, I focused on service above self. There were a lot of carryover things with the 100th year anniversary that we just needed to keep going with. Membership and engagement. Membership, I think we were up by 2. We actually had like 15 new members this year, but we had 13 people leave. So I was happy to at least kind of keep it steady and up a little bit, but that's always tough. And then restructuring in the Parade of Flags Committee, which we did get done this year. Just a couple of pictures, some things as I think back about the year that was really good. And one of the goals was just to re-engage as members, and we were able to do that. This is the Meals with a Mission last August, so that was a great event. Looking forward to the one this year. The flag dedication on September 11th. A couple things I remember about that day. It was a clear blue sky, just the most beautiful day. September 11th. The speaker from somebody who was actually at Ground Zero. It was a really great day, and all the people. So you can see in the one picture, and it's kind of small. A lot of people showed up for that dedication. And people came up afterwards just thanking Rotary for doing that. So that was really a great day. One of the things that I remember. This is another thing I'll remember. Kent Wellington and Ted Adams there. I graduated with both these gentlemen in high school. Kent was back here as a speaker. He was part of my service above self focus, and he really does a great job in Cincinnati with disadvantaged youth and the Karen Wellington Foundation for breast cancer. So, and Ted, you know, his father Leroy was part of our club, and Ted could probably come up and give a speech all of his own. He's really done a lot as well. So that was a great day. Our 100th anniversary dinner, thanks to Justin for being there to oversee that. One of the memories that I have about that is that picture in the middle where we invited some of the widows of Rotarians who have passed away, and those are the ones that were able to come. And I think that meant a lot to them and meant a lot to the club as well to have them there. Veterans Day, that's always a great program. We appreciate everything. Frank did put that together this year. Ray Rose there, you know, a couple of things I remember about that day. Honoring Ray, he's been here for several of our Veterans Day recognitions. And then also the cadets here from Kent States and our speaker there talking to them afterwards. And I caught that picture because I thought it was really neat. They really were listening to her and everything she had to say, especially the young women in that group. The food drive, we kind of got that back up and running this year. Appreciate everybody who helped there. And we actually did, you know, we're able to be in the basketball tournament this year. So little, you know, we weren't sure if things were going to happen until later in the fall. So we kind of cobbled that together this year, but it was great to be back for the Alabama tournament. I really appreciate the Rotary's relationship with speech and debate. So we were able to get back the speech and debate tournament that was held this year. I was able there's a picture of me working in the kitchen. So I was able to kind of go back to my alumni parent days and work back there with some of the folks that I've known for many years. And of course, the Oak Hill Project. Such a great group of dedicated people who were spending a lot of time this year working on that project. One of the things that I think was landscape design, and they provided a design for us and some recommendations for the gardens that will be coming soon. So that was a nice way to engage the community. I think that is it. So I just want to thank everybody for, you know, trusting the presidency to me this year. It was a great honor, especially considering when you look out here and you see all the people that have been president of this club. I really enjoyed it. They said the year goes fast, and it does. It was a really fast year and lots to do and think about. So with that, I'm going to ask Bob Gorman to come up for the induction of our new president.
Well, Terry, you did a great job in a challenging year in our environment. And so just congratulations to you before we move on to the installation.
Right.
Like a well-oiled machine, the gears of Rotary change worldwide at the end of June every year. 35,000 clubs, the districts we have at Rotary International headquarters, leadership changes every year at every level. So Wooster Rotary Club is no different.
Greg Long, it's my honor to inaugurate you as president of Wooster Rotary Club for the 2022-2023 year. You've been selected by the members of this club to carry the mantle of leadership during the upcoming year. As many of us who served in this role can attest, this will be one of the civic privileges of your life. You've been entrusted with an important local and global responsibility and are now asked to do your part in shaping Rotary's future. Your selection is an expression of the members' confidence in your leadership. If you're prepared to meet this task and obligation that I do, please raise your hand and repeat after me as I administer this oath. I, Greg Long, do solemnly swear
I, Greg Long, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office
that I will faithfully execute the office
of President of the Rotary Club of Worcester,
of President of the Rotary Club of Worcester.
and that I will, to the best of my
I will, to the best of my ability,
give support and assistance to our club,
give support and assistance to our club,
our district,
our district,
and Rotary International,
and Rotary International.
and that I will uphold the Constitution and bylaws of this club.
That I will uphold the Constitution and bylaws of this club.
Thank you, President Greg. Outgoing President Terry, past President Terry, let me be the first to call you past president. Please present President Greg with the club president's pin. Now, President Greg, your best wishes of the membership of the Rotary Club and our promise to help you have a successful year. As your first task as president, will you please give outgoing President Terry the mementos of his year?
Terry, on behalf of the Rotary Club of Worcester and its members, I am pleased to present past President Terry with well-deserved mementos of his leadership and achievements during his term as president. First, the president's pin. Second, the gavel. And third, your new badge is passed. One more applause and standing ovation. Terry's done a great job. Terry's year has been really phenomenal. Justin had to go through COVID. Terry was the post-COVID, but it was no less challenging, and keeping membership up. This is not in my script. This is all just, Terry just did an outstanding job. It's always easier following somebody that was a total loser. Terry is not, okay? So I've got to work twice as hard just to keep up. So thank you for that, Terry. That's enough. But anyway, it is an honor to be president of this club, and I take that very seriously. My goals, I've been treasurer for 30 years. So I mean, I think I've watched a lot of presidents come and go. They've all worked very hard, no matter what. They've all faced different challenges and different opportunities, and I never saw one of them that didn't do what was right for the club. And sometimes that's not easy. My goals are pretty basic for this year. They don't have to be complicated. I'm a pretty simple individual, but Brent was up here a little bit, and we're welcoming our 2 exchange students, which is the first time since 2020. And to me, that's probably the best program Rotary International does. I know they do a lot of stuff, but I like the exchange. So we budget, you and I, $2,500 per student to cover their fees, RILA conferences, whatever they do. We pretty much cover all of it. And so I think these 2 students are going to be great. And one of the things, these host families do a marvelous job. People don't realize that how much, I mean, it's a challenge. But also including all members, including them in your family activities. They like to go places. So if you're doing something, don't hesitate to get with Brent and let Brent incorporate them into your stuff. Give them tours of where you work. On whatever it is. But I think having two dance because they are not easy. Second, we of course, you saw pictures Terry had of the Oak Hill Park and the Grove. We want to get that, get that finished this year. We want to get a dedication, maybe have a social event there after work. And whatever we can do up there, Joel, I think it'd be nice if we could have a nice social event, a Rotary event in the pavilion, the Grove, to celebrate that committee who's done an outstanding job of making that that Grove and everything really nice. And then we're establishing that new environmental committee with Ken Schaefer and Ron as co-chairs, getting that, finding how they fit into Rotary International's goals concerning environment and seeing what we can do to support them. So we haven't created a new committee in a number of years. And I think the last one maybe was the flag committee was the last new committee. So I don't know, but I think getting them up and running and getting them a purpose and supporting them, I think would be something we'll do this year. I'd like to, Terry, growing the membership by 2, that's a pretty good thing. We've been stagnant for a number of years. It's not easy. If you look at the other social clubs in town, clubs and organizations from 10 or 15 years ago are smaller. But we leveled off a number of years ago and have stayed in the 160 to 165 range, and we lose about 15 a year just to stay even. And that's deaths, move-aways, job changes, all the life experiences we lose about. So we really took, we got to get 15 just to break even. And I will tell you that when I did all the committee chairs, I did not appoint at that time a chair. And I've seen membership committees come and go, and they really, in my opinion, weren't very effective. So I'm going to make all of you committee members of the membership committee, because the way this club has stayed is all of you brought in members. I mean, that's how you win. That's how you get ahead. You don't have a group of 5 or 6 people that got to do all that. And every one of you are our membership ambassadors. I'm not joking about it. I've been handed a lot of people because nobody else knew them and got them in. So Judy coming up with her replacement, that's perfect. Okay. We want to stay out there and we want to be visible, but I really believe we all have an obligation to keep this club where it is. And we are very special here. And it takes a lot of work to just stay at 165. When I go to the meetings, we're always the largest club in the room. The only ones bigger are Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati, and Youngstown maybe. So we have an obligation, and we're in a little town. So, and we've got other good clubs like Kiwanis and Lions and Exchange. So we're not the only game in town. So I just count on all of you to just help keep that membership up. We want to try, and Terry mentioned, engaging new people in committee work, new members coming in, especially the flags. I mean, that is our marquee project for the foundation. And we need, and they are always hat in hand asking for help to do whatever. And so if you've got, we want to try to engage more people in that. I guess what I'm trying to say. It's a very important committee, provides the bulk of the money for the foundation that we, of course, turn around and give out to needy organizations. I think the most important thing is to keep the Wooster Rotary Club proactive in the community, relevant, and making a difference. If we can make a difference, if we don't make a difference, then what purpose do we have? I mean, we want to be the guys that everybody looks to when they need something. And I think you know, the projects we've done over the last 4 or 5 years have been outstanding. The last one being the Grove and the flag. I mean, I get emails and pictures from people all the time about the flag. I think once we get the Grove done and the Oak Hill Park project, I think that will be just as visible. But that flag is awfully amazing as you drive in on 30. I think finally, and I say this tongue in cheek, but I think what's important to you is that I promised to get you out here by 1 o'clock every day. Okay, so those are the things. If you have any ideas, concerns, questions, don't call me. I won't take them. So if you do, then no, we've got to keep this club better, improve it. You can always be better, and I'll always be there if you want to talk about it. So if you've got any ideas on new projects or something, is that the incoming president, a little bit about the convention. Well, I've got a better plan. I was there with Courtney and Nat, and I think it would be nice if they give you a short overview of that, and then when they're done, we'll close the meeting, but I'll give you my 2 cents worth on it, but they're much better presenters than I am. So Courtney, Nat, and this is our next president audition.
You want to start me early, break me in, how's that? So yeah, I had the honor of going to convention a year earlier than when my presidency takes place, and got to go with Greg and Matt, which was nice. To have somebody else from the club there that you could walk around with and talk with and that kind of stuff. So we went to Houston. If you haven't been there, don't go. It's not really that great, but the convention. We did a lot of walking. The food. If you are a foodie, go. That was the plus side to it. But the convention itself, the theme was Discover New Horizons. So that was the theme. They actually had this banner that was kind of across the walkway there in Houston, which was kind of cool to see. Everybody in Houston, it was big. Couldn't miss it. Then we heard from the Rotary International President, and again, in another one that cannot pronounce names very well, so it's on there, you can read it. But it was interesting to hear from him. And then here's Greg. So I wasn't there for the actual first part when you registered the first day there. So Greg got in early, him and Nat got registered. And then he also met up with Steve. Why was it? And then, so the current district governor, which was cool to see. And then you also ran into the district governor, Michelle, as well, which I didn't have a picture of that. So that was kind of cool to see. This is kind of the size of it. It was huge. The convention center there is gigantic. So it was kind of, I've never been to a convention that big. So we were in the way in the back. They had TVs all over. So you just didn't feel like you were missing out. You felt like you were right there in the action. So kind of the opening ceremony, they had a flag ceremony there, and then obviously a bunch of different ethnic groups with dances and that kind of stuff. So it was kind of a nice way to start the convention out. This was kind of the second day. This was the general session, Discover New Horizons in your community here. And this is a couple of the speakers, the Charlie Duke, which was a former astronaut on Apollo 16. So it was kind of cool to hear from him and his speaking on exploring new horizons. But it's just his story, and hearing how what he got to experience was really cool. And then empowering girls. So I'm a woman myself, so it was kind of cool. They kind of focused on that in the general session and what Rotary has changed and how much we've changed within empowering women. So they probably I think all of us kind of agree to this, that hearing about Ukraine, obviously what they're going through right now. And so there was some Rotarians from Ukraine there. Dr. O, I'm just going to say, she was a gynecologist and oncologist, and now kind of being thrown into the war scene of things. But we've been able to raise about $15 million, Rotary itself, for Ukraine. And just hearing her story and what's going on over there, it really did bring tears to your eyes. It was very emotional time for them right now. And it was cool that they were there. Her son was there with her. There they took just to get here, to be able to leave the country. It was amazing. And then here's us at the convention. Like I said, we're kind of in the back. And then this was up with the Friends of Fellowship. Friends of Fellowship area. And they had in different areas that you could take pictures, so it's kind of cool. And then I think I belonging to me. I wasn't expecting when they were telling me that Rotary for Boy Scouts and Rotary for everything. There was something. It was pretty interesting. And then Greg and Matt got to go to the Space Center Museum there for an after hours event. So they got to walk around there. So there's a picture. And then probably the coolest thing there was the baseball field. So my husband and I actually did go to a baseball game one evening and sat in it. It was cool because it's enclosed if you don't know. So it's all inside. They can lift up the roof. So we found that it was closed during the game and they opened up during the day. So we walked so much that we got to see it during the day and then at nighttime. So and it was right beside the convention center, so you could see it. So that's pretty much, oh, the last closing ceremony, which I didn't put a picture on here and I meant to, was the introduction of the next Rotary International president, which is going to be Jennifer Jones, which is the first female president for Rotary International. So I thought that was really cool to have that as well. So Matt, anything else you want to add?
Thanks, Courtney. I was happy to play Greg's adult supervision for this trip. Kept him in line, made sure he was at the right places at the right time. No, it was a lot of fun to attend my second Rotary International Convention. Obviously, a few years ago for my presidency, I went to Toronto in 2018, which was a real pleasure. Just to give a few compare and contrast to the two conventions, I thought would be helpful. In the contrast versus Toronto, this convention was still only about half the size. There were over 20,000 people in Toronto, and this convention barely broke about 10,000 people. So all things are bigger in Texas, except in this instance, Rotary International Convention, a little bit smaller. But hey, look, it was the first Rotary International Convention since COVID, so it's good that it started back up again, and it was certainly nice to be there when it came back. And that really, I think, ties in, having been to two conventions, the fellowship of Rotary comes through at a convention in a way that's hard to describe and hard to experience unless you go to one. You get stories of Rotarians doing amazing things around the world in their own communities. And on the other side of that coin, you get incredible stories of Rotarians everywhere in the world helping those Rotarians do amazing things in their community. And it really gives you an understanding of the global impact that Rotary has. And it's not just our work at Wooster Rotary doing international projects, but it's the work that we do here too, and how important that is when you take Rotarians together. One of the things they typically mention during the large flag ceremony at the start of the convention that always strikes me as interesting is that there's more countries represented at the Rotary International Convention than there is in the United Nations. And you really get a feel of that as the various flags are coming in. And you really get a feel of the community of Rotary when you see the Ukrainians, for example, represented. You have this standing ovation, really long standing ovation with the Ukrainian flag walked across stage. So, it was a really interesting convention. It was nice to do it. Just one other thing I'll mention, the House of Fellowship, where all the vendor booths is just an amazing experience. This one was a little bit smaller than the last one, but I'm constantly a little bit amazed and amused. If you can pick an occupation, they have a booth in there. Pick a medical specialty, they've got a booth. The attorneys, the architects, the engineers, you name a specialization, they've got a booth. Also, pick your favorite hobby. You like Scotch? There's a Rotarians who enjoy Scotch booth there. Same with beers. Beers Rotarians enjoy worldwide. Brew has a booth. It's one of the most popular ones there. And go down the whole gamut of hobbies. there are Rotarians around the world that have that same hobby and find fellowship, not just at the convention, but year round. So I'll leave it with just thanks again for the club. I very much enjoyed going on my second trip, and I'll leave this to wrap up with Greg.
Thanks, Matt. It was nice having them there. I mean, if you just go by yourself with your spouse, I think it was just nice having Courtney now. If Courtney, we try to send people a full year ahead rather than two weeks before they go, they become president. So she went the full year, but next year is in Australia, and I think that, so the next week I would gets to go to Australia, but the two things were the flags. I'd never heard of about 2/3 of the countries. Okay. I don't know where they're at, but there's over 150 of them. They were all, I never heard of. The other was the support for Ukraine. That was just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, those were the people of the hour. And I do thank the club for letting me go, and it was quite an experience. You just don't imagine the volume, but I think that, like Matt said, it'll probably grow back, but it will take some time. Poor Terry had 2 years in a row of Zoom conventions. Okay, it's just not quite the same. You got to be there and walk it. Downtown Houston has a lot of very high-rise buildings, a lot of restaurants, very little else. Okay. So anyway, that's my commentary. As you know, next week we don't have a meeting. It's the 4th, and we will meet then again on the 11th. And that program that week will be Kurt Stoffer, who's the Wayne County Sheriff's chaplain, and he will talk about how law enforcement chaplain serves our first responders. So that should be pretty interesting. I do want to thank all of our guests today, and we hope you will rejoin us again. And with that, we stand adjourned.